evening, everybody out there. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm on Skype. Let me get some of the background noise down. Angela is with me today. Hopefully we have eliminated the background noise. It's not going to sound normal because we're on Skype. You guys hear an echo? That's okay. We can cut that down. We are on Skype. Thank you, 2 Timothy. We're on Skype, and so Angela is with me today. We are going to be discussing those subjects we began yesterday so that everybody has a clear understanding of what's happening. One of the primary reasons is we have come into a time that's just not normal by any means. It's not normal. And a lot of people they will attempt to sensationalize many things, which, that's what people do, but the bad side is this. If we continue to go by theories, it's going to cloud. It's going to cloud our very clear way of thinking, right? It's going to begin to cloud our judgment and other things because we're going to be bombarded with all these different theories. So what we want to do this evening, for a small degree, and we don't have long with you guys, we really don't, but what I want to do this evening is explain to you guys some different a layman's view of celestial mechanics concerning our solar system and objects that come into our vicinity but go away for a long time, and how they are in fact caught and sent back to us, and what that looks like. All right? Because if something were out there where we could observe it, we could see it, but you have all the elites. I say elites because they have all the money to do what they want. They're looking toward the south because they see something in the south. They're watching something down there because from down there, something's coming up here. And that's what you need to know. In other words, the southern hemisphere is being controlled by people who have the money, right? And if anything of magnitude, well, the movement of our solar system itself gives it away. But I want you to understand, I'm going to say how this could work, okay? How this could work. And so I know it's going to be difficult. I know it goes through, it's just going to kind of go against things that you have learned in science and things you have thought about concerning our solar system in different areas. Certainly things that you see on JPL, which are on a plane, more or less. But it will open your eyes to things they have not shown you, okay? We're going to talk about that, and I believe, Angela, were you going to, you were going to share with them something else, something that I think I told them about the other day, how that the Lord will send us somebody. Everything is foreshadowed. Yeah, you can give them some of the strange happenings that always seem to occur, but they do occur, and that's the point. There's always going to be a show foreshadowing of all events. And of course, if Angela does not understand what I'm talking about, she's going to let me know so everybody can understand, okay? Everybody can understand. I don't like it. I've never liked the fact, Angela, that when I'm hearing, when you go to a lecture, of course, you probably never sat in a lecture with scientists, but when you sit in these lectures, people pride themselves on big words, right?
Yes.
And they use the big words. They beat around the bush, right? Because what they're doing are two things. When they give you a lecture, they're following in line with their own theory, right? And they call the theory of somebody else a sound principle. Well, you can't do that. You can't call somebody else's theory based upon their best guess a sound principle, right? And I don't like that. Plus, when they begin to describe things with physics and mathematical terminology, and then new words they make up all the time, the person does not know what they're talking about. And so the average individual who was not educated in the universities like they were, they're going to be lost, right? In other words, they can spend a half hour explaining to someone how a door closes. They really can. And if they don't actually say a door, doorknob, and door frame and hinges, you're going to say, wow, what are they talking about? Sounds interesting and wonderful. Well, they're just talking about a door closing. But they'll take out all this other stuff. So we don't want that. If you can't, if the average person can't understand it, what good is it? Right? That's why the Lord said, Jesus said himself, there are a lot of things that are just no good, because if you're not serving for the sake of somebody else, it is no good. And if they can't understand you, what good is it? What good is that? So
Amen.
we'll simplify some things. Now, everybody knows that you may not believe it, but it is let's just imagine. Can we imagine? I'm not going to say I'm right or I'm wrong. Let's just say we do have two sons. Let's just say we have two sons. The one that you are familiar with, right? And another one way down to our south. Another son way down to our south. Another son. So we're gonna model a binary system, but in a very different way, and actually in a way that other systems have been seen, and it's nothing like what they have shown on. I've looked up certain programs. They will not show it like this. Their graphics do not demonstrate how it actually looks, and that's very confusing. Anyway, most people have seen a galaxy as flat, right? You've seen the solar system as flat, like a plate, and all the planets are on that plate, correct? That's how you see it. It's flat. You've seen objects that come into our solar system on that plate or somewhere near that plate, correct? That's how you see them. Like on, you very seldom do you see anything coming up from the deep south of us. In other words, behind us. It's because north of us, right? If we look straight up, or in that vicinity, that is the direction the entire solar system is moving. So let's say this. Let's just say that the front of your car, you put a plate on the front of your car, right? The very front facing out. You put a styrofoam ball, you glue that in the center, and you glue little smaller balls out from that plate. That is how the solar system moves, right? Because that plate is on the front of your car facing outward. Now, what does that mean? If you fly into rocks, if you start driving on a gravel road, you get behind something that's kicking up rocks, where's it going to go? It's going to hit that plate, isn't it? Right? You know how on the front of your car you have those little pit holes and things on the front of your car that messes up your little pretty paint job? Little rocks and things will hit the front of your car. Well, the solar system is moving just like that. It's on the front. It is moving it's really moving. We are really moving. And so then any debris will fast approach us from the north, but all things in the south are hidden. That's what's not explained to people. You can see something coming from the north, but everything from the south is hidden. They're not explaining this, and it irritates me. Okay, so you got that picture, right? It's pretty simple.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute before we move on. So the actual object then is the sun and another sun, evidently, and they're keeping this hidden. Who are they? Okay.
If we live in a binary system, that sun is to the south. You can't see it anyway. You're not going to be able to see it. You won't be able to see it. Okay, and we'll get to that in a minute. But it's very important that everybody can visualize this plate. It'd be like wearing a plate on your torso in the front, and then you start jogging, right? So then anything somebody throws at you, think of it like a shield. Okay, the shield, and on that shield is flat, and on that shield is our solar system with the sun in the middle and the rest of the planets. Right? And, of course, they're twirling. You got a twirling shield, but you're running forward. So it protects everything to the south, right? That shield does, right? Normally, when you look at images of the solar system, they don't ever show anything coming from the north, right? They never do that. And then it causes people to say this, well, I think Earth needs to move out of the way from these big objects. Are you kidding? They've got everybody glued to the objects that are on our plane or near our plane, but they're telling them nothing about any objects to the north or any objects that are coming up in the wake of us, right? And the reason why there's a long time period, increment time period, is because of the wake the entire solar system is leaving like a boat trail, right? It's distortion to ourselves. So it's very difficult to see. You have to have very special optics to see things from the south because of particle distortions. You have gravity distortions. You have a bunch of stuff. So I call it the wake, right? So it's very deceiving when you look into the south like that. But if you were driving a car, somebody in back, if you say you're going 40 miles an hour in your car, and someone in the back is going 40 miles an hour, but they're 30 miles away, you would never see the person behind you. Right. So listen, if you threw a piece of paper out of your window, right, that piece of paper would stay on the road. Let's just say it stayed on the road. You're going to surpass, because you're going fast, you're going to surpass that piece of paper. Now, the other object, now let's just say the other object has some very special characteristics that can actually, when it goes by that piece of paper, it can suck the piece of paper in and increase its velocity to 3 times the speed of both vehicles. So then it would shoot back up to the first one, because you're dealing with space, right? No resistance. And so, in effect, when something comes from the north or something goes around our sun and it heads back south, in effect, something else back there slingshots, just as things slingshot around our sun, and they build up velocity and everything else to make the long journey back out. So another sun would capture it, slingshot it back to us, right? But because we're moving forward, it would take so long that only, through thousands of years would people be able to see this, right? Now, remember, both suns are moving. They're both moving. You're in a binary system, which means both of these suns are tied to each other. They're tied to each other, right? Both influence each other all the time. Both are attracting each other all the time, right? So when one sun starts going haywire without a good explanation, the other sun and all these other binary, tritary, it's very rare to find any system, first of all, with just one sun. Most of them have 2 suns, 3 suns, 4 suns. I mean, they found that are outrageous. Over the course of years, they have studied their movements, and the movements are just fantastic. It looks like so anyway, these 2 objects will whip around each other and go back out in these long durations. Whip around each other and back out. In the meanwhile, they're exchanging bodies between the 2 is what they're doing. Exchanging bodies between the 2. All the material that we pass through in the north has been shot down to the south, which the thousands of years is going to slingshot back up again. If most people look on the plate of the solar system, they see the asteroid belt, right? They see it. They see the asteroid belt, and they're like, wow, we got an asteroid belt. Well, it doesn't look like that. It's so funny. They have it in a perfect ring, correct? But it's more like a dome. But the south end of that dome is missing. They never show people things in the southern portions of our solar system. They never do that.
Well, okay, so what about the people that live in the southern hemisphere? Can they see this object? Can they take, you know what I'm saying?
They'll see what's coming up. It's going to be inevitable. And they will know in the south. But listen, the south is effectively cut off from the north. Of all the people out here, who knows anybody in the southern hemisphere? Who knows anybody at the tip of South America? Who? Who
No,
knows
that's
anybody
true.
who lives south of the equator? Who?
Well, they really can't communicate with people.
And you see
Right.
Australia. You see Australia, right?
Right.
See
Mm-hmm.
Australia would have a minuscule view of that, but the best landmass to see these things would be the Antarctic, right?
Well,
Or
someone has to be seeing this.
No, how can you see a second sun through distortions, right, and wakes, unless you have special equipment? Ladies and gentlemen, where are all the big satellites at, or the big, where are the big telescopes at? Anybody know? They're in the ice. Where in the ice? Anybody know? Anybody know? They are in Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they are. You
Right.
can't bring anything around Antarctica because they have areas in Antarctica you can't go to because of the military, because of other. Isn't that something? They will
Yes.
stop you from getting there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but they have all their optics set up down there, and I mean it's manned every single year.
Wow.
So they're
Now,
in a position to do that.
do we know, in fact, that this is a sun that they're observing, or could it be something else?
The people would never know the facts. They will never disclose the facts.
Well, I'm asking you. I'm not talking to people.
Listen, if somebody knew, right, I believe we live in a binary system, but if somebody definitively knew, because of it wouldn't be wise to see it anyway. They're not going to pop out and say, yes, we have a dual sun. All they can do is present a type of theory and say, well, I think we live in have a dual system, right? If it's ever factual, you're not going to hear from that person again.
Well,
But
why do they care if we find this out? I just think it's so ridiculous.
Well, let me keep going. So now that if we live in a binary system, you would have to take Australia and you would have to control that area with secrecy, right? In other words, because America is the nation, the headquarters of secrecy, we'd have to have strategic military bases in Australia, right, to stop people from going to certain portions of Australia. And if you begin to look at a map and you begin to look at the range designations, right, for the military, you're going to find something out about Australia. You're going to say, wow, everything is blocked off, and nobody can really, even if they have the resources, they cannot get in specific parts of the land to observe anything coming from the south. Number one, they would see the distortions. In that distortion, they would pick up radiation signatures. In those signatures, they would see materials, right? Through optics. You can analyze gases around things through optics. And they would recognize, hey, it's a type of fusion taking place from something down there. Now, if you saw a fusion, what causes fusion? A sun causes fusion. A sun. And so when you see another sun through its properties, well then, you would know you live in a binary system. If you
Why do they want to keep this hidden? What is the point? That's why I don't understand.
Let's say they publicize a second sun.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to tell you why. They publicize we have a second sun. People are going to want to know, well, if we have a second sun, when's it coming up to our sun? Because all of them do that. And if they ever find that out, they're going to say, hey, we got to count down to our doom because no planet's going to survive. And if they figure that out, they're going to say, how big is the solar system of the second sun because it's coming into this one. And if they figure that out, social structures will break down. People will start murdering each other and everything else. People will rape every woman they can find. They won't care about the children.
Over a second sun?
Because that means our absolute destruction is coming. That's why.
Well, so other planets have more than one sun and they're fine.
No,
so why would it?
They're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. Other solar systems that have dual suns, right? Their planets have been burnt. Their planets are turned into hellish-type planets. Their atmospheres are ripped from them and destroyed. Half the planet is those things are dead, right? So to have dual suns, nothing is going to survive it. Every so often. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a gradual thing every time that second sun passes. People are listen, if you say there's a red dot in the sky, People panic over a red dot. You could have made that up and said, well, Santa Claus is up there. But if people don't know what it is, they panic too much. Look at how they panicked because of Donald Trump was elected. Are you kidding? What would happen?
Well, I know, but they talk about planets, new planets all the time, and no one seems to care.
No, because new planets are not destructive, but a second sun is.
Well, the common populace would not even know that a second sun would affect us. You know.
Unfortunately, they will, because when you see the signs of it, it will kind of rip Earth to pieces. You know what?
Well, I know, but I'm just saying.
When Jesus, well, they would eventually go back to the Bible. Listen, there's a reason they don't want people understanding nor believing in Revelation either. Because if you believe in Revelation, you believe in the words of Christ, you know that this earth and the heavens are going to pass away with a fervent heat. Right? Mm-hmm. That means, you know, even for those who say they believe in prophecy, they know time is coming to an end. They know that their way of life is coming to an end. Right? Prior to Jesus coming, we live foolishly sometimes because we act like we don't even believe in the Bible. And I can assure you that those who truly do believe they live in the end days have prepared their minds to live in the end days. The populace has not. See, if people really do believe they live in the end days, they're not going to get too comfortable in their homes, number one, because they know a displacement event will happen. Number two, they know that massive earthquakes are going to take its toll and structures won't survive. Number three, they know mankind is going to war. Number four, they know that at least 1/4 of the earth is going to die, and all the trees are going to be burned up, and all the green grass is going to be burned up, and things will impact this planet. So if they're not mentally prepared, even in Revelation it says these folks that were not prepared, didn't want to believe anything, what they do? They cursed God for all things that were happening. Right. They were looking to men for their salvation, kind of like people look to the president for salvation of America, which is foolishness.
Oh, boy.
Because the people, you know what? I'll say it again. If people just woke up one day and said, no, we're not having this, there's nothing anybody could do. So they have duped the people into believing that somehow the government has all this power when the government is made up of people with a few leaders who are governing the entire populace. We as Christians should know better, right? It doesn't hurt to pray for our leaders. They're the little embryos that don't know any better, who could burn up in heat. It's just things are backwards. But the binary system, and the reason why people can't see things in the South, that area is almost like it's quarantined off. But people are moving into a space where in the North we're about to see everything. I mean, everything. I mean, fearful sights will come in from the North, right? I can tell you this too. What they call Orion's belt. In the belt where those 3 stars are that are easily seen, people will notice a big red spot form in between the first and the second one. They'll notice this, and they're going to start making up all sorts of stories, right? There will be other objects that come into our solar system, moons and things of that nature, right? And some of these objects are already very close, but they're tiny, they're small. So there will be evidence, but the problem is, how are people going to interpret this?
That's right.
They're going to panic, they'll panic. And at that point, Christians are going to start going haywire too.
I hope not, but it's not looking too promising because many Christians freaked out over the election, and that just should not be so. But that's another story. There's a couple of questions. I wrote them down for you. One is from Shelby. She wants to know if the second sun is actually the destroyer.
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay. All right, hon. And then Caesar wanted to know if the second sun revealing itself, I suppose, is actually connected to the second wave that is coming.
Well, that's a good question, but I can't answer that. I would say that there are things that we'll get into that further probably this week coming up concerning that. Concerning the second wave, because, well, there have been some There have been some changes, some for the best, some for the worst. And so the very nature of this radiation needs to be explained. We're going to have to deal with the fallout of this thing, and we're just going to have to deal with what happens to the Earth after this wave or after we've entered into the band of this thing. So we're all going to entertain some changes.
Okay. And then someone else had asked, I wrote it down, when the Earth shifts, will everything else shift accordingly?
Now, what do they mean by shift when the Earth shifts?
I think when you were talking initially about this object that's coming towards the Earth that's seen in the southern hemisphere, will that, when it enters, gets closer and causes the Earth to shift, will everything else shift as well?
I'll explain what I believe. This is what I believe. It's only God knows exactly what's going to happen, right? All we can do is observe. But what I believe is this. I believe that not only Earth, but all the planets will begin to wobble, each and every one of them. I believe that orbits of the planets are no longer going to be consistent. I believe that some of the forces of this object will be so strong because of its proximity is going to be well away from us that it's only going to appear as maybe it'll be moon size or something like that, right? But but it's still going to be so far away but the forces of this thing are going to shake us loose. They're going to shake us loose, and they're going to shake a lot of things loose. So then constellations will appear to be out of order. The sunset and sunrise is going to swamp on people. I believe that the rotation of the Earth will change. I know everybody talks about a pole flip, right? I know they do. They talk about a pole flip. I don't necessarily agree with a pole flip. I do agree with a dynamo reversal. I do agree with that, not a pole flip. Not a pole flip. I do believe that the wobble will be so immense that we're going to have vibrations that will never cease. All right, so no one will be able to track the hours of the day by the sun and by the moon because they will appear to go in a zigzag motion in the sky. When it says in the Bible that the Earth will rock to and fro, right, like a drunk, that means everything in the heavens are really rocking to and fro, right? There are other scriptures that also say that the planets will abandon their paths. They won't be in the same path. There's also some other things that indicate that the constellations will be in the wrong places. Planets will be doing strange things in the heavens, and that men will interpret it wrongly. But it will be the beginning of their, the another event that's coming upon us. The one that they very few had actually written down. Now, a lot of people read these hidden doctrines like the Colburn Bible, which was found in England, I believe. So you really don't know the validity of that. And many people read the Sumerian text to try and find out, about Enki and Nehursag and all these individuals, and they were at war with one another. They seem to be not too smart because even in their writings, here's something funny. There was a figure that entered into their writings that scared them. That's funny. That is absolutely funny. So it's funny. And then when you go to all these texts, if a person was rooted in the Holy Spirit, it wouldn't matter what they read. They would see the truth. And the truth is this. The Father, His will has been in effect all this time. All this time.
It has.
And He's going to create a new heaven and a new earth, right? But one of the fallacies of us, because all these doctrines are mixed up, is that we have to go on observations from other folks. We don't have the money to see it ourselves. If people, the average person, can see it themselves, they would have the real data and begin to adjust everything. And from the south, a doom is coming.
Right.
From the south. And because it's being watched. It's being watched. And they're going to do many things that will take place before that. I'll give you an example. Let me tell you how much they know. They know exactly a specific timetable, even Satan does. Now, Satan knows of a timetable. If Satan knows of a timetable, he has certainly warned other folks too, didn't he? Satan will always warn his folks what is to come. He will. But he does not know the entire thing. He didn't know the entire thing. Somebody asks, I believe, Gilbert is right in the orbit and trajectory. Caesar, I've seen some of Gil's work, right? But I have to tell you how I operate. I can see a person's work, right? And I don't look at people's work to ever scrutinize. But I'm amazed at an intelligence factor the Lord gives people. And so what it does is it prompts me to say, hey, if this person or that person had this absolute data point, they could be, that work could be refined. I never look at somebody's work and just disprove it and say, well, that's garbage. I don't do that. Because I know that we all struggle to have these things that have been hidden from us, right? And when you read somebody else's work, you don't read it to destroy it, disprove it, right? You can actually see how far a person is, but if you have a data point, then compliment the individual, right? I'm not one of those people who are greedy and say, hey, well, I'll tell you what, if you add my data in there and put my name on this, that, and the other, no, I'm not like that. I'll give a data point, give anything I can. The person can take full credit because it's not about me. It's not about the other person. It's about preparing those who would listen for a truth, right? You can get hurt when you don't have the truth, honestly. That's just like people would say, well, no, you can't. Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let me give you an example. You're going through your house at night, right? Somebody has moved the coffee table. You hit your pinky toe. You just got hurt because you didn't know somebody moved that coffee table. There you go. You felt real pain because somebody else moved the table. So don't tell me that, if it happens like that, you can be hurt in bigger things. Correct? Bigger things can get you. And so that's just a fact. But the Lord will not have us ignorant concerning any devices of the enemy, nor will he keep us ignorant concerning his prophecies. He will reveal them. Things will be refined within us, which is why it's also important for folks like anybody who's out there doing research that you guys sort of like there's Gil, there's BP, there's Anthony, there are a host of other folks out there who have said many things over the course of years. We have to be mature enough to understand something. Over the course of years, all of us learn. All of us are going to refine our own conclusions about the theories that we have. I present mine as theory, never fact. Theory, never fact, right? They present theirs as a theory, never fact, right? And so if you do that, it's always going to be refined. The closer you get to the event, you're going to be able to narrow down things, right?
Well, and man only sees in part. I just do not put a lot of credence into the assumptions of man because a lot of times they cross over into forecasting. A lot of them aren't even grounded in the Word. So I'm a little bit different than
that's true.
Or others.
I'm saying those who are really trying. Those who are really trying.
Well, they can try, but you don't take what their words, what they're saying. You don't take that as 100% fact. It's a theory.
That's right. A theory is not fact. It's not fact at all. It's an educated guess based upon what you have, and that's going to grow over time. That will always. You know what? When we first started COT. Do you remember everybody said they're coming to get your guns? They're coming to get your guns.
There's been so many date setters. I mean, they come and go.
Do you remember when they said Obama will never be reelected? I talked to you and I said, boy, they're going to be mad when he's reelected. Or he's not going to be reelected. It's impossible. And so many people said, well, I'll quit this and quit that if he's elected. But the true fact of this is what they did was this. Here's the danger of doing that. Here's what happened. They said he wasn't going to get reelected, and they were so angry, they took it out on their own household. For shame. And that should be an example to this. This is why, I could set a date on something that I have absolute facts of, right? In other words, like if I say, well, guys, on such and such date, a satellite is going to fall into the Pacific. Why? Because that's nothing more than a trajectory. But you can't set a date on something you have no empirical data for. It's only a theory. And all these scientific guesses concerning the future are, in fact, theories. The only one that absolutely knows is the Lord. Okay. It's just like we can observe everything in the heavens to interpret all that information, right? You can try your best to interpret. But just like a hurricane, you don't know exactly what it's going to do until it takes place. But you can always warn people, hey, a hurricane's, now it would be foolish if you warn somebody, 5 tornadoes are headed in this direction, and somebody sits in the house and says, well, they could move, and then they run right to that person's house and just kill them, right? Or cause them to lose everything. And then after the fact, the person says, I wish I would have listened. You don't want to be in that position. But you also don't want to be an alarmist. In other words, what I'm saying is, if something is coming, you don't want to be one of those that instantly says, is it going to kill me? Because that would also be those. Let me give you something about saving your own life. Those who will bow to any king are those who truly care about their own lives. Those who don't care about their own life will not bow to just any king.
Right, like Daniel.
They won't do it. You're not going to bow because you don't care. You may be scared to death, but you don't care about your life. Most people give in because they are afraid of suffering, right? But when you're no longer afraid of suffering or afraid of losing your life, you're going to start thinking soberly. And I'm telling you, in this day and age, you can't walk around with the mindset of protecting your own life. You'll misinterpret everything. So, from the south, a trouble is coming. But from the north, the impacts upon the earth are going to take place. Now, that from the north, it's going to be seen by just about everybody because you're looking at the major, this is a northern hemisphere. Many things will be seen in the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere, you go below the nobody really goes below the 40th parallel there. They don't go below that, right? They don't go below that. And you would really have to be at 69, 70 or greater to actually see anything down there. So that's going to remain a mystery. What won't remain a mystery, it's what's going to smack us from the north. So all those if you're above that 20-degree mark, which most of us are, which all of us are in America, we're above that 20, certainly around 40. If you're at that 40-degree mark up near Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Iowa, you're going to experience a lit-up sky, and those in Canada, some very strange things. And you're going to notice it more and more, certainly on or after December 29th, when this panic comes through, December 29th. So December 29th is going to be that's going to be the time frame. We're going to say December 29th, give or take, 10 hours, 10 or 12 hours. So we'll say when this first band comes in, December 29th, right? What it is you have in any wave that's given, you always have a type of shock wave, and a shock wave has a barrier against it. Now, as it's been traveling through space, it's been met by resistance, right? So some of the particles, the particle collisions that actually take place in space have mutated. The forward side of these particles is what's happened. So it kind of took away their power. And that's why in the first 15 days, you're going to see a buildup in strange things. The first 15 days, right? I can definitively say this because the auroras have not come yet, right? If we see auroras, too many before this date, then the impact is going to be a little greater than we thought. Because the aurora will happen and then volcanism will naturally take effect.
Okay, remember when you and I were talking about the auroras, I'm going to say this just for the benefit of everyone listening, is it will not, what you told me, and you can correct me if it's changed, but you told me it wouldn't be in just one particular area. The whole world would see the auroras. So it's not a big deal. What? Did you lose me?
Okay, are we back?
Oh.
Angela, you sound like a broken record.
Of course.
Boy.
I can hear you okay.
Don't try to talk, Angela. Don't try to talk. Let's see what's happening. I want you to do, Angela. I'm going to have to call you back. Hang up, call you back. Your voice is in a loop. Hold on. I'm going to call you right back. All right, we're going to call Angela back and see what's happening. Boy, people are just trying to interfere with this probably because I'm getting charged up, and I'm going to start running my mouth. Who cares anymore? No one. It's no big deal. You guys are going to know. You're going to know as much as I can tell you. I'm not concerned about who believes me or not. I'm concerned about people having the truth. I don't know about you guys. I don't like it too much when you have people that are sincere about their findings and they don't have proper instrumentation and things of that nature to come up with a conclusion. I don't like that. I know because I've been in that position several times throughout my life, and I do not like it. Angela, are you back?
Yep, I'm back. I hear you.
Can you guys hear Angela?
I can hear you just fine.
What?
Well, they're saying 5 by 5. Can you not hear me?
That is strange, weird.
I hear you fine.
I can see you guys can hear me, right? You can hear me? They're saying no mic.
Oh, they can hear us. You can hear us both
okay.
now.
I'm here. Can you hear Angela too? You hear Angela, but no mic, and I don't hear
not
Angela
anymore,
at all.
honey.
Are you kidding? What
No, they can hear us both now.
Chuckwagon Skype thing is this?
Listen, they can hear us both now. Both.
Hold on.
Oh, my word.
Hold on.
It was fine, hon.
Hold on. I have to do a backup plan here, guys. Hold on. So let's see. Wait a minute. I'll do a backup plan here. Let's take the load here and not any other place. Let's see if this works. Bit of a challenge, isn't it? Uh-oh. There she goes. Now, release. Let's see if we can get her back on here. And I'm waiting. Houston. Okay, marked by heaven. Kidoki. Okay. She hung up on me. See if it works again. It does not want to dial her. Are you kidding? Okay, why is it always an issue?
Okay.
Now it's showing advertisements. Okay, Angela, can weird things. Let me turn off.
Okay, now I can. I can hear you fine.
So people I can't hear words you're saying, but that's all I can hear.
Oh, my.
I really can't.
That is so...
I can hear words. Now I'm gone. You guys...
That is so strange.
Okay.
You sound fine to me.